I went to a BR0THEL in Pompeii at midnight, shocking truths never told. The clock struck midnight as Jake entered the ancient ruins of Pompeii, his heart racing like a runaway train. The moonlight spilled across the cobblestone streets, creating shadows that danced and whispered secrets of a world long gone. He wasn't just wandering into history, he was diving headfirst into a tale so twisted, it could make anyone's skin crawl. What was waiting in the shadows? Ghosts, maybe. Or something more sinister. The air was thick with mystery and danger, like the calm before a storm. Jake had heard the rumors. Tales of a hidden brothel nestled among the ruins, where the echoes of laughter mixed with gasps of pleasure and pain. Most thought it was just a drunkard's myth, but curiosity burned inside him. As he stepped closer, the scent of stale wine and something sweeter, more intoxicating, filled his nostrils. The atmosphere felt charged with an energy he couldn't quite place, both thrilling and frightening. Each step crackled with tension, every shadow seemed alive, watching him. He peeked through a cracked doorway, heart thundering like a war drum. The sight before him was surreal, a vibrant interplay of colors, revelry, and bodies swaying in the dimly lit chamber. The paintings on the walls were shocking reminders of the pleasures sought and forbidden desires. And in that very moment, he realized this wasn't a simple brothel, it was a portal to a darker side of human nature, echoing with ages of longing and despair. Dark whispers filled his ears, making his skin prickle. What secrets were buried here? What horrors awaited him? Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Jake's breath caught as he prepared to step inside. The heavy silence was suddenly shattered by laughter, a deep, throaty sound that sent shivers down his spine. He was not alone. The sensation wrapped around him, tightening like a noose. Was it excitement? Fear? Or was it the undeniable pull of temptation? The weight of looming questions loomed over him. What would he uncover tonight? And would he ever leave these ruins unscathed? As he crossed the threshold, the air thickened, a low hum of danger vibrating through the very stones. The brothel stood like a siren's call, and Jake was helplessly drawn in. What truths would he face in the depths of this seductive darkness? The moment Jake stepped inside, the chaos of sound engulfed him. Laughter, cries of ecstasy, and the clinking of glasses hit him like a wave crashing against the shore. The air was thick with the scent of incense and human sweat, mixing into something intoxicating. He squinted into the dim light, trying to take in the scene, but it felt like diving underwater. Everything was distorted and murky, bodies writhed and twisted on makeshift couches draped in vibrant fabric, their movements unrestrained and almost hypnotic. The flickering flames of candles cast playful shadows that flicked across the walls, illuminating features of pleasure and pain. Jake's pulse quickened, fear and exhilaration colliding within him. He was drawn to the center of the room where a lavishly adorned woman stood, her laughter bubbling like champagne. She caught his eye and grinned, a smile both seductive and unsettling. In that instant, he felt the weight of the room shift, as if her gaze pierced through him, unearthing his desires and fears. What lay beyond that smile? Was she a mere illusion, a figment of a decadent nightmare? He shook himself, trying to grasp at reality amidst the overwhelming sensations. "What are you waiting for?" she beckoned, voice sultry and rhythmic. Her hand motioned toward him, an invitation wrapped in mystery. The crowd pulsed around them, unaware of his inner turmoil. He stood at the edge, hesitant, the thrill of danger mingling with dread. Did he dare step further into this world that gleamed with forbidden excitement? As if sensing his uncertainty, the laughter faded momentarily, replaced by a stillness that wrapped around him like a cold blanket. Shadows extended and grew tall, consuming the vibrant colors of pleasure with a looming darkness. Eyes turned, focusing on him, and Jake felt exposed, like the lone figure on stage, unprepared for the spotlight's harsh glow. It was in that moment of profound silence that a truth clawed at his mind. The souls trapped within these walls might have been seeking freedom, but what if they were also prisoners? Something sinister slithered through the room with each heartbeat, feeding off the energy of the revelers. And for a heartbeat too long, Jake considered retreating. But the magnetic pull of temptation was stronger. He took a cautious step forward, heart pounding. The rhythm of the music thrummed through him, urging him deeper into the den of secrets. But as he moved toward the heart of the madness, glimpses of tormented souls flashed before his eyes, pained expressions hidden just behind the veil of euphoria. Who were these people? What stories were they carrying? Suddenly, the laughter erupted again, but this time it was different. It held an edge that sent chills racing down his spine. All around him, the atmosphere shifted, a tangible weight tightened in the air. Voices rose and fell, a chaotic symphony that drove him further into the haze, but with each passing second, he felt the walls of the brothel closing in on him. Thunder rumbled outside like a warning, sending vibrations through the ground beneath his feet. Desperation clawed at Jake's throat as he caught sight of a figure breaking free from the crowd, a man with wild eyes, frantically pointing at him, mouthing words that were drowned by the music. "Get out! It's not safe!" Before Jake could process the warning, the laughter intensified, morphing into something darker, something ugly. The flicker of the candles cast eerie shadows that morphed into grotesque shapes, creeping closer. Jake's heart raced, and he turned to escape, but time seemed to freeze. He realized that the door he had entered through was no longer visible. What had he gotten himself into? The mysteries began to unravel, revealing a truth more horrifying than he had ever anticipated. Would he succumb to the madness that engulfed him, or would he unravel the horrifying secrets of this perfumed labyrinth? As the man's frantic eyes turned pleading, Jake made a choice. He wouldn't leave just yet. Not before uncovering the brothel's dark heart. What would he discover lurking within its depths? The woman's laughter pierced through the growing tension, a bell tolling in a dark forest. Jake's eyes darted around the room, panic threading through him as he searched for an escape. But what if the only escape was deeper inside? Each breath became heavier, saturated with the thick scent of longing and despair. The wild-eyed man thrust himself forward, desperation painting his features. "Please. You don't know what you're walking into." Jake wanted to scream back, to ask what was happening, but words tangled in his throat. He felt the darkness encroaching, shadows elongating like grasping fingers eager to drag him under. "Step closer, darling," the woman called again, her voice oozing sweetness, hiding something bitter beneath. Her enchanting gaze held him transfixed, as if she didn't just see him, but understood everything that nested in his heart, the trembling fears and secret desires. He could feel the room sway under the weight of desire, and yet, with every flicker of candlelight, he sensed the pulsating dread beneath the surface. "Help me!" the man shouted, and suddenly Jake was jolted back to reality. His gaze shifted from the siren's allure to the frantic figure, whose face was twisted in anguish. Something profound shimmered in those wild eyes, a warning, a plea, a truth he couldn't yet grasp. The revelers continued their dance, a twisted synchronization of ecstasy, blind to the danger knotting up the air. "Get out of here!" the man shouted again, panic rising in his voice. Jake felt his heart ache, one part fear, one part a darkness he couldn't shake off. But instead of retreat, he felt consumed by the need for answers. If he didn't delve into this chaos, would it haunt him forever? With an inner resolve thrumming within, Jake turned toward the swirling crowd. Each movement felt electric, carrying him to the shimmering figure who beckoned him with an enticing finger. Shadows hugged the walls, a sinister dance that whispered lies and secrets just out of reach. "What do you want from me?" he thought, as he grasped the weight of his choice. The laughter faded into a low hum as he pushed forward. Each step felt like a descent into madness, the faces shifting and muting around him. Something unnatural pulsated in the atmosphere, and the world shifted alarmingly, a bruised sunset draped over a carnival gone awry. Jake's pulse echoed in his ears, and with every heartbeat, he felt the walls tightening around him, confining, suffocating. The woman's smirk widened as he drew near, and he caught glimpses of fleeting shadows lurking just beyond her, tormenting souls clinging desperately to their freedom. "Welcome to paradise," she purred, drawing him in with a gaze that promised more than it revealed. "Where's the truth?" he rasped, voice barely audible above the mounting chaos. "Who are you?" The woman leaned closer, moisture glistening on her lips, a hunger in her eyes. "What is truth here, darling? Let me show you." As her laughter danced around him, Jake felt an icy grip around his heart, a shiver that crawled up his spine. Was it wise to dance with madness? To surrender to the enchanting pull of something that felt dangerously wrong? A loud crash echoed from the shadows, reverberating through the room, and the revelers paused, caught in a moment of stillness. Eyes flickered toward the commotion, confusion etched across their faces. This was no ordinary night. As the storm outside raged, a realization washed over him: whatever this place was, whatever lure it had over its captives, the secrets it held would not remain silent indefinitely. "Are you ready to uncover the truth?" she whispered, lips curling in a devilish grin, as Jake stood at the edge of revelation. In that moment, everything shifted again, a pulse of thunder rattling the very foundation of the brothel. He teetered on the brink, and with a single breath, he dove deeper into the unknown. What awaited him in the depths of this swirling chaos, and would he be able to confront whatever secrets awaited him there? A chilling breeze blew through the open door, sending shivers down Jake's spine. The noise of the celebration faded to a low murmur as uneasy eyes settled on him. The man who had warned him, now trembling, was crouched in a corner, pressing against the wall as if trying to blend into the shadows. Jake glanced back at the woman, her smile widening with an unsettling charm. The vivid colors of her dress swirled around her, as if they had a life of their own, teasing and beckoning. But there was no joy in her eyes, only a hunger that felt like it could consume him whole. "What do you want from me?" He didn't recognize his voice. It sounded foreign, filled with both fear and a strange thrill. "Everything," she replied, leaning perilously close. The other figures in the room blurred, their faces contorting as if they struggled to escape a painter's brush that twisted their identities. The storm outside howled, resonating with the tumult in his chest. The frightened man shouted again, "You need to get out. It's not safe here." Jake hesitated, his heart battered by conflicting impulses. The warning was a lifeline, yet he felt chains binding him to the woman. She released a delicate laugh, like the tinkling of broken glass. "Safe? Here? My dear, safety is but an illusion." From the corner of his eye, something shifted. A shadow slipped beyond the crowd, slipping through the revelers as if they were mere specters. Jake's instinct screamed at him to follow, yet every pore in his body urged him to remain with the seductive chaos. "What's behind that door?" he croaked, pointing towards a hidden archway barely visible in the flickering light. "Ah," her tone turned smooth, almost melodic. "The truth awaits, sweet Jake. But be warned, truth has a price." The wild-eyed man let out a guttural cry, "Don't open it." The desperation in his voice surged through Jake like ice water. Those words sparked something within him. The promise of the unknown warred with the fear thundering in his ears. He could either flee or confront what lay beyond. In that moment, the choice felt monumental. "What price?" he asked, his voice trembling. "Your innocence," she whispered, her breath like silk against his skin. "The understanding that ignorance is bliss." Jake's mind whirled. What was true innocence? Did it live in ignorance, far from the burden of knowledge? He felt the weight of those unspoken words crushing down on him, intertwining with the fear that distorted his reality. The man in the corner, his wide eyes pleading, sank further into the darkness. "Please. You don't understand what you are about to unleash." In that transfixing atmosphere, with shadows dancing and laughter intertwining with his heartbeat, clarity stabbed through the chaos. An undeniable truth glinted in the dark: whatever was behind that door wasn't just for him. It was a reckoning waiting to be served. But whether he was the one to bear that burden remained uncertain. Driven by a sudden rush of courage, Jake took a step toward the archway. He caught sight of twisted faces, hollow expressions desperately seeking liberation. "I'll find out," he muttered, more to himself than anyone else, and pressed onward. As Jake extended his hand toward the door, the laughter erupted around him again, a cacophony of madness and allure, and the shadows coiled tighter. What awaited him beyond that threshold? Could he return if he crossed that line? The thunder roared, drowning out his thoughts, urging him forward into the abyss that promised both terror and revelation. But then, as he grasped the cold handle, a voice echoed in his mind. Was it a warning or an invitation? "Are you ready to lose everything?" He hesitated, and as the shadows whispered their secrets, Jake felt the unraveling of his world begin. What lay on the other side? Was the truth worth that sacrifice? Jake's fingers brushed against the icy surface of the doorknob, sending a sharp pang through his spine. Time slowed, thick with the weight of unspoken possibilities. The laughter around him erupted into chaos, a swirling storm of fear and frenzy that edged closer, pulling him in different directions. It was disorienting, a dance of shadows that wished to devour him alive. "You need to walk away, Jake." The trembling man's voice broke through the cacophony, raw and urgent. "You don't understand the darkness that waits." Before Jake could muster a response, the woman leaned closer, her voice a sweet poison. "What is life without a little risk? What lies behind this door could unleash unimaginable power or destroy you." Her eyes sparkled with excitement, the promise of something he could neither fathom nor resist. The world around him dimmed as if the shadows recognized the gravity of his choice. His heart raced, a frantic drum against his ribs. Each beat echoed betrayal, the trust in himself, in reality, now unraveling before him. He stared into the abyss of her gaze, each second stretching into eternity. With a deep breath, Jake gripped the handle, casting a glance back toward the wild-eyed man. The man shook his head violently, eyes wide with terror. "You can't. You don't know what's at stake." But Jake was already turning, his resolve becoming his armor. "I have to know," he said, his voice steadier than he felt. Dropping the facade of safety, he pushed the door open. It creaked ominously, revealing a darkness that pulsed, alive with anticipation. The air felt thick and electric, a tangible sense of dread washing over him. As he stepped into the void, the door swung shut behind him with a finality that sent a jolt through his chest. Inside, the space felt otherworldly. Shadows wrapped around him, swirling like a tempest. He felt small, swallowed by the vast abyss. Wisps of tangible darkness gripped at his ankles, pulling him deeper into the unknown. "What is this place?" Jake whispered, his voice barely echoing in the emptiness. "Your truth," a soft voice responded, drifting like smoke in the air. "Your reality is bound by your choices, by what you hear, what you see and what you refuse to acknowledge." Images flickered before him, half-formed memories, fleeting glimpses of his life, moments of joy, sorrow, decisions made in haste. Each tableau bore a heavy emotional charge, tugging at his heartstrings as if trying to claw their way back into existence. In the distance, he could feel the weight of lost innocence pushing against him, a deep, gnawing sorrow. "Jake!" The voice of the woman echoed somewhere beyond the shadows, distant yet urgent. "Remember what you're willing to sacrifice." He swung around, searching the dark. "What do you mean? What do you want from me?" The space around him responded, twisting and bending. A figure emerged from the shadows, vague and unsettling. "You must choose," it uttered, the sound resonating with a grim finality. "Each truth you unveil shatters a part of you. Are you willing to face it?" Calmness settled in, even as adrenaline surged through him. This wasn't just for him, it felt bigger, like the weight of destinies intertwined. "What happens if I refuse?" Jake asked, his voice small. "Then you remain in the shadows forever," the figure replied, its tone almost mournful yet resolute. The darkness craves light, but it demands a toll. Jake's stomach twisted. The man's warning replayed in his mind, the memory of the fear that engulfed him. Would it all trap him in a web of despair? Or was there freedom waiting on the other side? He took a deep breath, determination strengthening his pulse. I'll confront it. I'm ready to fight for my truth, no matter the cost. As the shadows began to swirl faster, his heart hammered in fear and exhilaration, Jake clenched his fists. What lay ahead? Would he emerge whole, or shattered and forsaken? In that moment, a door opened wide behind the figure. A blinding light beckoned in stark contrast to the darkness. But what lay beyond the light? Was it salvation, or yet another? Deception? Holding on to courage, Jake stepped forward. The unknown loomed closer, the boundaries of his reality fracturing even more. What awaited him in that blinding light? And as he moved ahead, a chilling question lingered in the air: would he lose himself to embrace the truth? Jake took a hesitant step toward the light, uncertain of what lay beyond. The warmth enveloped him, brushing against his skin like an awakening breeze. Then, as he crossed the threshold, the world shifted violently. He found himself in a breathtaking expanse of color and sound. Trees glittered with phosphorescent leaves, and flowers burst open like fireworks, releasing a heady scent that intoxicated the senses. The air crackled, vibrant with energy and possibility, but something felt off. Familiar shadows lurked at the edges of his vision, as if waiting for the right moment to pounce. "Welcome, Jake," the woman's voice echoed, now sweet yet tainted with something darker. She appeared alongside him, her figure ethereal against the vibrant backdrop. "You made it, but not unscathed. What is this?" Jake gasped, all mingling with confusion as the shadows crept closer, their tendrils licking at the edges of his newfound haven. "Is this the truth?" "It is a fragment," she replied, her laugh echoing like distant thunder. "A piece of what could be. But for every truth, there's a cost, my dear. Are you truly ready to pay?" Suddenly, the brightness dimmed, and the flowers withered. The trees began to twist into grotesque shapes, their vibrant colors fading into shades of gray. Panic surged in Jake's chest as he stumbled back. "What is happening?" "Your fear," she whispered, her voice like silk, seductive and sinister. "It fuels the darkness. The more you resist, the more it claims you." Jake fought against the rising tide of dread, clutching at the remnants of hope. "But I want the truth. I want to be free." "Freedom," she said, swirling around him like smoke, "comes with recognizing what you truly are. Do you dare look in the mirror?" A large, ornate mirror began to form before him, its surface swirling like a stormy sea. As he peered into it, his image flickered, revealing not just himself but reflections of his past choices, moments of cowardice, times he turned away when he should have stood firm. A chilling recognition washed over him. "I can't change those things," he cried, his voice thick with desperation. "No," the woman replied, her voice a deadly whisper. "But you can accept them. You can own your shadow." Just as her words wrapped around him, the mirror cracked, sending shards flying in every direction. Jake's heart raced as he staggered back, narrowly avoiding the destructive shards. "No. I want tea." Instinctively, he lunged forward, his heart pounding as he attempted to smash the remnants of his past. With each blow, the shadows inched closer, feeding off his despair. The realization struck him like a lightning bolt: fighting it wasn't the answer. "Stop fighting. Embrace it," the woman urged, a manic excitement growing in her tone. "That's the only way to break free." Tears brimmed in Jake's eyes. "But what if embracing it destroys me?" The shadows swarmed, their whispers rising to a deafening roar, the voices of his past, regrets etched into his very soul. "You are lost. You are nothing. You will never escape." But amidst the chaos, he caught a glimpse of his own reflection, hazy but resolute. What if, beneath the shadows, a deeper truth existed? What if freedom was found not in erasing his past, but in accepting it? With a deep breath, Jake steadied himself. I choose to embrace it. He shouted, every ounce of his being resonating with the declaration. The moment hung in the air, heavy with tension and trembling anticipation. The shadows recoiled, as if they couldn't comprehend his defiance. Gradually, the colors around him began to bleed back into the space, vibrant threads of hope weaving into the darkness, but just as he felt a glimmer of victory, the woman smiled a chilling, knowing smile. What you don't understand, Jake, is that acceptance comes at a price, and it may cost you more than you ever imagined. As her words sank in, the shadows roared louder, swirling around him like a tidal wave. The ground beneath his feet trembled, and he wondered if he had just unleashed a darkness deeper than any he had faced. Would he become the hero of his own story, or would he spiral into the depths of despair? The echo of his own voice burst from the darkness, resonating louder than before, I choose to embrace it. And as the shadows surged, a new question began to form in his mind: what was the true cost of acceptance? Jake's declaration hung in the air, thick and electric. He braced himself for the aftermath, uncertain of what his acceptance would unravel. The shadows writhed, losing their shape, as if melted by his newfound resolve, but the brightness didn't return. Instead, the darkness intensified, thick and suffocating. The woman faded from view, her laughter echoing, distorting into an eerie chant, wrapping around him like chains. You think you embrace, but can you bear the truth? Get out of my head. Jake screamed, feeling the weight of memories press down on him like boulders. Then came the whispers again, a cacophony of voices clawing at his sanity. You're weak. Just like before. You'll never escape. The ground quaked beneath him. He fought to stay grounded, but everything shifted. Colors swirled ominously, blurring the lines of reality. An image emerged from the chaos, a figure, familiar yet distant. Mom. Jake felt a pang in his chest. It was a memory from a time long buried. He remembered how she looked the day she left, how pain had etched itself into her features. What are you doing here? You let me go, Jake, the figure whispered, her voice torn between love and loss. You turned away when I needed you most. No. He protested, but his voice cracked. He had tried so hard to forget that day. The guilt rose in his throat, thick and suffocating. He wanted to break free, but the shadows tightened their grip, forcing him to confront his deepest failures. Suddenly, the shadows wove together, forming into images of those he had hurt: friends, family, moments lost to anger and fear. Each face stared back at him with eyes full of judgment. Embrace it, Jake, the woman's voice echoed. Or be consumed. His heart raced. The once vivid colors had faded into an oppressive gray, and the air felt heavy. What had started as a burst of light now transformed into a storm of unbearable regret. The truth seemed a monstrous thing lurking just beyond reach, eager to swallow him whole. Stop! He shouted, panic rising in his throat. Please, I can't. I can't handle this. But silence fell, a chilling peace that wrapped around him like a shroud. The shadows hesitated, as if waiting for something. Just when he thought all was lost, a warmth flared in his chest. The seed of acceptance he had spoken blossomed. With a deep inhale, he let the memories flood in, not just the pain but the moments of love, laughter, joy, the times when he stood tall against the tide. He recalled how he fought through storms, how he could rise again. I see you. He yelled, addressing the surging shadows. I see you all. You are part of me. The shadows writhed violently, as if struggling against his acceptance. The ground shook beneath his feet, but he stood firm. With every ounce of his will, he felt the darkness begin to crack, breaking apart like the mirror before. I'm not afraid anymore. You don't control me. A thunderous roar echoed, and the darkness writhed as colors began to seep back, drenching the landscape in vibrant hues. Yet the realization hit him hard: acceptance was a simple feat. It demanded strength and vulnerability, a surrender that threatened everything he thought he knew, and just when he believed the battle was nearing an end, a deep rumble shook the air. The landscape still teetered on the brink of chaos. "Jake!" A familiar voice called from somewhere deep in the shadows. "You have to choose again. The darkness is alive, it will never let you go." Eyes wide, he turned, realizing the struggle was far from over. The shadows whispered promises, mingling lies with secrets. What choice? He breathed, fear clawing at his resolve. The weight of their demands pressed heavily on his shoulders as he confronted not just the darkness around him, but the darkness within. In that moment, uncertainty crashed over him like an approaching storm. Would he summon the strength to continue? Or would he succumb to the ever-deepening void? With heart pounding and spirit ignited, he steeled himself for the inevitable answer. What he didn't yet know was that with each choice came not just a risk, but an unexpected revelation. Could he navigate through the approaching storm, or would the shadows finally claim him? Jake's heart raced as the familiar voice echoed in his mind, the urgency pressing against him like the weight of 1,000 stones. Shadows swirled, a restless tide lapping at his feet, and the air crackled with energy, thick and suffocating. With every breath, he fought to anchor himself in this moment, terrified of how easily it could slip away. "Choose." The voice called out again, more insistent this time. "Are you ready to confront the darkness? What choice?" Each possibility unfurled before him like a dark flower, petals of despair and regret ready to ensnare him. His thoughts turned chaotic, images of his past tangled within the dark mindscape, the pain he had caused, the love he had spurned, decisions that haunted him still. The shadows whispered in a twisted lullaby. They held memories of laughter that had turned into screams, smiles dashed by betrayal, moments lost to indecision. His pulse quickened with every unfolding memory, nagging doubts clawing at the fraying edges of his mind. "Embrace the darkness," they cooed. "It's part of you now. How can you fight what you are?" "No." He shouted into the storm, feeling the tremors in the ground ripple through his bones. "I'm not that person anymore. I can change." Suddenly, a flicker of light danced across his peripheral view. It was fleeting, delicate, a reminder of hope. He strained to catch it, instinctively reaching through the suffocating void, yet the shadows pressed closer, clawing at him with icy talons. "Jake," the voice from the depths urged him. "You must remember. The light is not gone." The urgency surged within him. "I remember." He yelled, fighting against the swarm of voices, letting the warmth of recollection wash over him. "I remember the love, the kindness. I can still find my way." A surge of energy pulsed through him, and with each beat, he could see it, the shimmering core of light nestled deep within the darkness. It shimmered like stars in the night sky, a beacon brimming with memories of laughter and all the tender moments he had buried beneath his fear. "I choose to follow the light." The shadows howled, a fierce wind brushing against him as they writhed and recoiled. Their grip faltered for the first time, the storm settling into a soft thrumming. "But the truth is what gives me strength," he countered, voice fierce. The shadows' edges blurred, and as more light radiated from within him, he felt the ground steady, the chaos shifting. Colors danced back into existence, vibrant strokes of life breaking through the oppressive gray, yet, even in this triumph, a flicker of doubt lingered, gnawing at his insides. Had he truly embraced the truth, or was this just another deception wrapped in illusion? The shadows murmured again, their whispers veiled in shadows, teasing him, mocking him with half-formed truths. "Jake, will you remain strong when faced with the ultimate truth?" His breath caught as cool fingers of fear caressed his skin. The girl from before suddenly filled his vision. The echoes of her laughter ricocheted painfully in his chest, turning to sobs of betrayal. "Will you face it?" The voice of his past mused, shifting the balance of power once again. He steeled himself, but the uncertainty loomed large. What awaited him beyond this moment? A choice larger than any he had faced. He turned, scanning the horizon of this shifting storm. Could he confront the truth of his greatest regret and find redemption? Or would the shadows tighten their grip, dragging him back into the depths of despair? Just as he prepared for the final stand, a shadow burst forth from the darkness, shocking, relentless. It surged ahead, forcing Jake to make a decision with the weight of 1,000 regrets resting on his shoulders. Jake's heart shook with fear, and as the figure loomed ever closer, he whispered to himself, "I can't be afraid, not now." But the shadows closed in, and he realized the battle for his soul had only just begun. Would this truth finally break him, or would he forge a new path from the ashes of the life he once knew? The storm howled around him as darkness threatened to envelop him once more. The air thickened around Jake, the weight of the figure's presence pressing down on him like a steel trap. As it stepped forward, each movement seemed to be an echo of his own fears and regrets. It paused, and in that heartbeat, Jake felt the world tilt. The shadows writhed, whispering promises of endless despair. Every inch closer to the figure ignited panic within him, consuming him from the inside. "Face the darkness, Jake," it spoke. The voice was hauntingly familiar, sending icy tendrils down his spine, his own voice twisted, a reflection of all he had tried to escape. "Do you really think you can hide from your own shadows?" "No." Jake gasped, pulling back as if he could retreat inside himself. "I refuse to let you control me." The darkness around him glowed dimmer in response to his defiance, but still, the figure pressed on, relentlessly advancing, revealing its form. It wore his face, a grotesque mockery of everything he feared becoming. "You think you can just choose the light?" it taunted. "You're still me. You'll always be me." Each word sunk deep, sowing despair like a malicious seed in the fertile soil of his heart. Jake's breaths came quick and shallow, the air seeming to thicken, almost suffocating him. Panic clawed at his throat. Had he truly transformed, or had he just lightly sprinkled hope over a foundation of darkness? The reflection towered over him, a testament to the creature he once was. "Look around you, Jake," it hissed. "These shadows are not enemies. They are your allies, the parts of you that give you strength. Embrace them." Images from his past flashed like lightning strikes across his mind, faces he once loved, moments of kindness twisted into memories of betrayal. He staggered back as the depths of his past loomed overwhelming. "No. I want to let you haunt me." The illusion seemed to flicker, as if the darkness wasn't as solid as he feared. The memories began to swirl around him, spinning into a vortex of emotion. Laughter echoed a distant chiming of joy. Could he find strength in his sorrows? "Remember her," it urged, but Jake shook his head violently. He raised his hands in defiance. "I will not." Suddenly, a surge of warmth flowed through him, a soft glow filling the void left by despair. It was the memory of the girl, her laughter, so pure, so tethered to joy. In that moment, it struck him like a thunderclap. He couldn't bear the weight of his failures forever. "Light infuses the dark. I choose to believe in love," he shouted, voice reverberating against the shadows. "I will forge a new path." The darker figure writhed in frustration, distorting and spinning like smoke caught in a whirlwind, yet Jake felt strength surge within him. He took a step forward, fueled by newfound conviction. "You're not me. You're my past. I will not be your prisoner." The shadows shrieked in a chaotic crescendo, their howls piercing the air. In that critical moment, Jake felt the ground beneath him tremble as if the universe itself responded to his newfound resolve. It was a small victory, but he could sense the tide turning, but there was no time to bask in the glow of his courage. The swirling shadows began to consolidate, coalescing into an enormous shape that loomed over him like a dark mountain. Its intentions were predatory, and Jake's heart lurched with fear. "Will we uncover your greatest truth before it's too late?" echoed the voice, a dark promise lingering in the air. Just then, the air shifted. The shadows hung heavy with anticipation, waiting and watching. Whatever lay ahead could either be his salvation or his undoing. As they surged forward, Jake clenched his fists, ready to confront not just the darkness but the ultimate reality he had so long feared to face, would he unravel the truth about the girl that haunted him, or would the shadows claim him forever? The stage was set for the next confrontation, and he knew, this was merely the beginning of his most dangerous battle. The darkness swirled around Jake like a storm, each pulse of energy igniting memories he'd buried deep. The air crackled with tension, electric with the weight of his choices. He stood at the precipice, faced with the looming figure that wore his face, a cruel reflection of all he'd tried to escape. It pushed against him, whispering both temptation and terror. "Face me. Embrace everything you fear," it growled, its voice a twisted version of his own. "You cannot escape your past. You will forever be bound to it." "No!" Jake shouted, his voice rising above the din of the shadows. "I'll never be your prisoner." He felt the ground tremble beneath him as his resolve strengthened. Memories flashed in his mind, each one a battle scar, a love lost, a friendship severed, a moment of hesitation turned into regret. He stumbled but steadied himself, breathing deep. "I am not just my regrets. I will claim my truth." The shadows grew loud, a cacophony of doubt swirling around him, but Jake took a step forward. A deep breath filled his lungs, a flicker of lights urging him to push through the suffocating grief. "I choose to confront you," he called, his voice breaking the shadow's oppressive grip. "I am more than just my fears." As he spoke, warmth blossomed within him, a golden light illuminating the depth of his soul. The darkness writhed, its grip on him faltering for the first time. "Fool!" The figure erupted, distorting and twisting, its voice heavy with malice. "You're nothing without me. I define you." Embrace your shame. Each word sent a shiver down his spine, but another memory arose, her laughter, bright and pure, brightening the gloom. He grasped it tight, evoking a sense of hope he had thought lost. "No!" he roared back. "You are just shadows. I will break free." He plunged forward, thrusting his hands into the darkness, heart hammering. The shadows trembled around him, and the figure screamed, molten anguish shoving through the chaotic air. "You think this is liberation? The light will consume you too." But Jake didn't waver. He felt himself unraveling, threads of anguish spinning around him, threatening to snap him back into despair. Yet, he pushed onward, fueled by the point of clarity that shone bright against the chaos surrounding him. "Freedom comes from acceptance, not from ignorance," he shouted. The shadows dimmed as vibrant beams of color surged from within him, spilling outwards and illuminating the crushing darkness. "I am ready to face every part of me." With a roar, he absorbed the screams, the pain morphing, now they transformed into shimmering specters of his past selves, the joy, the laughter, the warmth. The memories spiraled around him like a protective embrace, coiling around the dark figure that mocked him. "Stop fighting!" The shadow screamed, a desperate plea now woven within a tide of rage. "You cannot face what lies beyond. It'll shatter you." But with each breath, Jake assertively shattered that belief. "No. I won't allow you to define me anymore." A blinding light erupted, casting away the shadows, erupting from his heart and enveloping everything in its path. The reflection loomed closer, fury raging through it as it unraveled, but Jake pushed forward, tearing through the veil of darkness. "I am my own choice. I am not defined by my past." With one final roar, he embraced the line of light as it surged ahead. And as the shadows dissipated, a howl filled the air, transforming into whispers, then fading like the last notes of a forgotten song. The chaos swirled until it collapsed into a soft glow, revealing a serene landscape, a place he had never dared to dream of. He stood alone, yet whole, surrounded by colors more vivid than he remembered. Gone were the ravages of darkness, leaving behind a space filled with possibilities and the echoes of his laughter. Jake let the warmth wash over him, a healing balm against scars etched deep. This was his truth, an intricate tapestry woven from both the light and the dark. It was time to embrace every part of himself, to carry the weight of his past while stepping boldly into the future. He stood tall, heart steady. The storm may linger in the distance, but standing here, He realized something vital, that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the power to confront it. And as he strode forward, a powerful promise sat heavy in his chest. He would live, grow, and forge a path. The real adventure had only just begun. So, what did you think of Jake's journey? Did he truly find his freeing truth, or merely a new beginning? You need to share your thoughts in the comments. And while you're at it, smash that like button to feed the algorithm and subscribe immediately so you don't miss our next adventures. This is the moment to show your support. Also, don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your engagement means everything to keep this storytelling alive.